Hello, welcome back or welcome to Life at Strawberry Cottage. I've made a lot of new friends since the last video, so happy to have you all here. Thanks so much for watching. Today's video is going to be mostly about things to do with baby. I thought I'd start with sharing a bit about our birth story. We started out doing our prenatal care at a birth center, which to me was the happy medium between a home birth, which I was scared of, and a hospital birth, which I was also scared of. So we got great care at that birth center, really loved it there, and yeah, couldn't recommend going the birth center route more highly. But as I alluded to in the last video, things did not go according to plan. I wanted a natural, unmedicated birth, but as it so happened, I did end up with a C-section in the hospital. So bright and early on a Saturday morning, shortly before Christmas, my water broke at about 5:30 a.m. So I rushed out to the hallway and it just, gushed. Sorry to give you TMI there, but I was like, "Oh, Mariah, I think my water's breaking." And he's like, "What?" So he popped up out of bed too, and we're like, "Well, what do we do?" No labor pains had started as of yet, so we went ahead and called the midwife, see what to do. Basically, we waited it out at home, and the plan was to go to the birth center within 24 hours of my water breaking, because I would need to start IV antibiotics at that point. So just kind of waited out that day, kept thinking it was going to start. I kept feeling mild cramps, but nothing major. Then we went to bed that night with the plan of going to the birth center, or being to the birth center by 5:30 the next morning. So I was hoping to get a good night's rest, but of course then that's when my contractions decided to start. So by about 3 a.m. they had gotten strong enough and close enough together that it warranted an earlier trip to the birth center. So we got over there. I thought I was going to have the baby in the car. It was so intense and so close together. And when I got there, I was fully effaced, but I was only dilated to a 1.5. So needless to say, I was heartbroken. Well, maybe not heartbroken, but at least discouraged and irritated. So I was admitted, and we did start the IV antibiotics, at about 5:30, and I labored there 24 hours. Baby was head down, but not quite in the right position, I guess. So we were doing all sorts of crazy contortions during contractions, trying to get her to turn just a bit. And we slowly progressed. And by, I can't remember what time, I think it took me about 24 hours to get to a 6. And at that point, I was able to get into the big tub they have there at the birthing center, which was amazing. I am here to tell you. I was having some pretty intense contractions while I was in the tub, and I was like, if I wasn't in the tub, this would be really bad. But it's so amazing how the water did kind of soften it all. But sad thing is, I think perhaps getting in the tub might have slowed down my contractions, because I stalled out at a 6 and did not progress any further. To be able to stay at the birth center, to remain, I don't know if you're familiar with birth centers, but you have to be low risk, essentially, to give birth at a birth center. And if you risk out, then you have to go to the hospital. So in order to stay there and remain low risk, I would have to keep progressing. So in order to rev back up my contractions at this point, which had kind of slowed down, we would have had to try some other things like midwives sprue, which, oh, side note, I wasn't able to keep anything down at the time, so I don't know if I would have even been able to keep down the, midwife sprue to, that was kind of a joke, to be able to even do that. And at this point, I was just utterly exhausted and not having gotten sleep for, I can't even remember how long at that point. So the decision was made that I was just going to need some rest. So, non-emergency, transferred to the hospital. They got me over there. They gave me an epidural. And I got some rest. And I'm here to tell you, as far as the epidural goes, don't knock it till you try it. Because it was wonderful just to get some rest. Oh my. But, so they gave me Pitocin as well, and my labor progressed, and I got to complete. And I was able to push with the epidural for 3.5 hours, I think. And baby simply would not budge. The doctor told me that my pelvis was too small for baby's head to come through, which it wasn't a huge baby, so I guess, I don't know, it's just narrow in there. I wonder myself if it was just from my water breaking early, and then, I don't know, maybe it just wasn't ready to loosen up, but who knows. In any case, ended up in a C-section. Baby's here, I'm here, we're both safe and well. All in all, I know it was according to God's plan. And I'm thankful that he had me be born in this day and age when I can have a C-section. And thankfully, baby was able to nurse within an hour of being born. And the epidural didn't seem to affect her being able to eat at all, as that's something I had heard that can be an issue. So, praise the Lord for that. She's eating like a champ. I'm so grateful. It took me a little while to come to terms with the disappointment of having a C-section, because it really did hit me kind of hard, because it was literally the last thing I wanted. I would even say there was a bit of a grieving process in the way that it didn't go according to plan. One of my nurses really wisely said that really it shouldn't be called a birth plan, it should be called a birth wish list, because sure, you know how you want things to go, but ultimately we have little to no control over what actually happens. Ultimately, I'm so thankful we can rest in God's sovereignty ruling over all. Now I thought I would share some of the things that I have made for baby. I will put links to all of the patterns used in the description below the video here, and I probably won't go into too much detail as far as all that goes in the video here, so just look down in the description for some of that information. This sweet little yellow cardigan got a lot of wear, and she just looks so sweet in it. The yarn is naturally dyed, and I can't remember what it was dyed with, but it's wool and was just so sweet. This is one of the first things I made. It's just some acrylic yarn from Hobby Lobby, and it turned out rather large, so it probably won't fit her until this coming winter. This still needs its buttons, but it's made out of mohair, and it is just so sweet. Again, this probably won't fit till the coming winter. Look how fluffy. This was one of my favorite makes. This is what baby came home from the hospital in, even though it was a little large. Such a sweet little romper, and again, a naturally dyed wool yarn. This was dyed with avocado, so it's kind of a pinkish brownish. This little set saw a lot of wear as well. This was some Debbie Bliss Rialto 4-ply. Lovely and soft. These little booties saw so much wear that they're a little pilled. Look at the sweet little buttons out of my stash. I think they were my great-grandma's. This little dress I made years ago. Look at the cute little hanger with the chickens. Can't wait till she can wear this. I should try it on to see how it fits because I can't remember what size it is. It does need some buttons and buttonholes in the back. Isn't it precious? At the time I made this dress, I could have only dreamed of having a little baby. This project has been cut out for a couple months. We'll see if it even fits, if it ever gets done. The sewing area is a bit of a mess, but that's a project for another day. Thanks so much for stopping by. It was great to visit. I hope you'll come back again. We'll talk again soon. In the meantime, happy homemaking. Bye.